right, gang. Welcome to the podcast. Today, we're going to chat on something that is pretty relevant, at least to myself and Kate as well this week. And we touched on this one a few years ago. And Kate, I can't remember, but I think we might have talked about this with you and I on a podcast. But it's training through, around, and during illness, and just kind of chatting about that. And it's probably a bit of a controversial topic, especially around COVID's still in the not too far in the review, and it's popping back up. It's kind of like now COVID's sort of just like another thing on the chart, like the flu. It's a seasonal disease.
We're in that season.
Yes. So flu seasons hit early or some sort of thing, and whatever it is, it kicked me right in the nuts, harder than, I think I've been sick in a few years. So I'm just starting to come out of it, just in time so I can, maybe nurse a beer for that party tomorrow. But throughout this week, I've actually missed a couple days of work. Today will be the first day I'm going to attempt to start to work out and work back. And, I'm basically going to go through the WOD today in super light fashion with, maybe like even under the fitness weight and deadlifting 135 just to get the movements woke back up and get some blood flow. But I know that you've always talked about, you've read, pretty extensively about, what to do when you're sick. You advise clients on it, and you have some good thoughts on it. And I think me and Dave can kind of add to it. But I was going to kind of kick the ball to you and just chat about like your rules for it and what you kind of tell your clients as far as like training while you're sick.
Well, it's interesting because I think I make a post or two about this every year because no one wants to come work out even if like they have a sniffle. And so I'm like, well, you're going to work. You're still getting up. You're still doing your day. You can take it easy and come into the gym. And I think it'll help like with the healing process. And what I've always read when I've researched is that as long as you don't have a fever, you're okay. So if you have a fever, it's not real beneficial to you moving and sweating. It is kind of counterproductive and will just be a little bit too much of a stressor. So I think it's more the extent of your illness, or like deep chest congestion. But even that, I feel like is still helpful to get out and move, even if it's a walk outside. But when I was using the old Google search yesterday, there was some different information I thought was interesting. I had to think that this has to do a lot with like COVID, where really people are saying now to use like the neck up rule. So if your symptoms are more like congestion, headache, but no fever, and no like stomach issues, no GI issues, that you're okay. I still am old school. I think you need to get up and move. I don't think it helps anyone to lay around for like 2 days. I think it just keeps everything sitting in one spot. Even if that's a walk outside to get some sunlight, get up, get moving. It's going to help you feel better. Obviously, that you need to rest for a certain period of time, but I think what happens is your whole body just starts to hurt, and you're not flushing. Just like you want to drink a lot of liquids, you want to try to keep eating. You want to flush that sickness out of your body.
I think one thing we need to be considerate of, too, when we're talking about, especially an acute illness, is staying out of the gym, especially during that kind of like a wet phase of a cold, the first 3 or 4 days when you're like coughing and sniffling, you got snot flying out of your nose. Like, it's not a great idea to come into the gym and, be handling things. You're going to pass that around, and we don't want you guys doing that, and we don't want to have half the gym sick, and just being considerate, especially in group fitness. And then I don't think taking a high intensity CrossFit class, especially when you're in any sort of acute phase of an illness, is ever a good idea.
No, absolutely. And I mean, this week I have a lesser version of what you have, and I'm not doing any, But I came in every day. And now I didn't have a fever. I wasn't hacking on people, but I came in every day. I worked out. What I did was like not worthy of really even like writing down or mentioning, but it matters in that I got things moving. So I feel like it really helped. But yeah, I mean, you don't want to pass that around. I know that people have done that before and it's gone through the whole
2014. 2014 is a year that, if anyone was around, won't forget. It was during the Open, and we had a really good competitive group. And I think that year we actually had the most participation that we ever did in the Open. It was CrossFit. Like, the Open was only a few years old, and I mean, I think we had well over 150 people doing the Open, maybe pushing 200 people doing it. Everyone was doing the Open really aggressively, and just a horrible flu swept through the gym. That's the last time I had been this sick, but that's the sickest I've been as an adult. I got pneumonia. I was sick for
Is that when you got on prednisone to help with like the inflammation in your chest?
Yeah, and Andy, Kiri, Joey. Joey was like the what do you call the like patient zero?
Patient zero.
Yeah. He's the one who introduced it to us. But like, we have a bunch of like really healthy, strong young people at the time in there who had like never missed a day of work, and then I remember Andy coming in and then just like falling asleep on the couch, and we're like, okay, go home. And so everyone's like trading days off, and they're doing the Open through this. And I remember, I was still into like trying to do the Open really aggressively, and I think I took like a 1 on several workouts, like I just do 1 rep and to keep going. And anyways, that was a year that was like, hey, people should have stayed out of the gym. Obviously, people were passing it around, and we had a lot of people get sick, a lot of our training staff. And, so when you're acutely ill, you need to stay out of the gym. I think easing back into things, particularly the older you get, when you're a little younger, or if you're really highly trained, you might be able to step back into things a little bit faster. But the way I feel like right now, yesterday was the first time I moved, basically this week. And I did a 10-minute bike and 3 sets of 12 lat pull downs. And I felt not great going into that. And the 10-minute bike was on a C2 bike, so not like an Echo, very lightly. And I did that, but I felt way better, like 80% better after I did that, and just moved some blood around. And then today, again, I'm going to move really lightly. And then I'm going to take all of next week to slowly, incrementally build momentum. But I'm going to do scaled down versions probably of every workout I do next week. And then hopefully the following week, I can get back into like full on like training to progress and get stronger and things like that. But yeah, it's a process. And I think if you rush it, and I think that kind of happened to me Tuesday, I felt a lot better. Like I thought I was over it.
I know. I have a different theory. So you felt better Tuesday. I think another illness hit you. And I
didn't feel good last week, and then I felt completely better and hit Tuesday's workout.
Yeah, I think you were fine. And stress plays a role in all of this. So I think, Brandon's brother is sick. I know you didn't sleep all night, and I think the stress was keeping you up, and then you started to get sick again with something else.
Sure.
But I still absolutely. It's not like it's all shades of gray. It's not black and white. Yep. There's something in between doing a super intense WOD and then not moving an inch all day. And again, for this argument, I think you should have got up and gone on a walk outside on Wednesday instead of languishing all day. And another thing, because then you're just on your phone and TV, and that's not good for you either. So I'm just saying.
I don't think I could have done anything. But
I'm going to stay out of this one. You guys can figure this one out. Yeah, I definitely feel like getting some sunshine, getting some water, getting a little bit of a walk in there is helpful.
Yeah.
But yeah, you might, if you're up for it, you can get a workout. And sometimes I feel like it's beneficial. Like I'll get a momentary relapse in symptoms and I'll feel better. But if it's like too hard, or if I was kind of being foolish, I feel like I'll almost kind of bounce back to feeling very tired again. But I generally like to keep moving, just a little bit. Like I said, it just feels like, especially if there's congestion, if I feel like I get a moderate workout and I kind of just can breathe easier a little bit. Usually, I've always found that nighttime, especially laying down or sitting down at night, is kind of when, if I'm sick, I almost feel the worst.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of stationary. You're laying down. I feel like all that stuff just kind of settles in, and I feel like if I could be fine all day, and then at night or laying down in bed, I'll start coughing and sneezing, and blowing my nose. When all day, I generally was feeling better, and then
That's a really good point, and that's when like our kids. I mean, you never really know how they're doing until like, okay, let's just wait till they lay down and they're hacking. Our daughter's still in our room at the end of our bed, so we're like, oh shit, now we're up all night because we're hearing her cough all night, and you never really know until you're just stationary. I mean, that's a really good point too.
Yeah. Even like some electrolyte powder. You said you got some IV stuff done too. I mean, I'm sure all that stuff helps.
Yeah.
But sometimes it just takes a little time and taking care of yourself.
Yeah. I went to the Hydrate Me place.
Yeah.
And got an IV. I think that did help, but I was hoping for like
more of a
Fountain of
miracle.
Youth.
a miracle. Yeah. I'm like,
then you just
okay.
Came back and got on your phone again.
I didn't have much.
I'll find some memes about this.
For sure.
Yeah.
That'll solve this.
So, I mean, I think, what do you think? So I want to talk about things that get you, that you tend, like, things that I do to, like, help me get better. And one thing, and it might be kind of hokey to some people and read about it on Google, but when I had mono, when I was 25 or 6, and I went to the doctor, and I do not see this doctor anymore. It was like a family, like, general practitioner, and anytime I got hurt or sick, it was like doomsday. Like, just like, I don't know if like your wrist is ever gonna get better. I'm like, what? But I got mono, and she's like, oh, I don't know. She's just like, you might not be able to work for like 3 to 6 months, and this like hard, intense, like working out stuff that you're doing, like, I don't know, maybe a year or two. And I was like, what? So I like go home, and I was deathly ill. I was super sick, and my like glands were like swollen out of my neck. So I'm like, okay, I can't accept this diagnosis of like possibly not working for 3 to 6 months. If I don't work in 2 weeks, I'm not going to be able to pay rent. So we got to work. But I'm definitely down for the count. I'm so ill that my aunt and my mom were coming over to like take care of me. But I got on the internet, and I found this article about how to cure mono with high dose vitamin C. And I was like, I have nothing to lose. I went to like a GNC, and I bought like powdered vitamin C, and I dove into it. And like, I was taking, I think, 25,000 milligrams of vitamin C. So that would be like, those emergencies, those are 1,000, like 25, the equivalent of about 25 of those a day. And so what you would do is you get your vitamin C, like blood concentration, up to where they call it bowel tolerance. So it's basically once you hit, your stool gets soft, that's when you've hit like the level, and then you hang out right there.
Take it till you poop your pants.
Basically. So, but anything below that, like in your body, and I could tell it was just drinking it up. Like I almost couldn't take enough of this stuff. And my body was just drinking it up. Like if you're not sick at all, if you have 5,000 or 6,000 milligrams of it, you'll hit bowel tolerance. But when you're ill with like a flu, or especially mono, you can take that up past 20,000 milligrams, and your body's just drinking it. So I did that, and within 2 or 3 days, I was exponentially better. And then within 10 days, because the guy who I worked for was like, he didn't want me anywhere near the gym for, like, he said a month, because they saw how sick I was sneaking in I wasn't doing a lot, but I was sneaking in and like doing a little bench and doing stuff like off hours. And then I think in 2 weeks I could start to take my clients back. And so I've applied that. And then they have protocols for flu and things like that. And so I've been doing that, probably not as aggressively as I could have been. I've really started to amp that up now. And that is something that I know this is like, I'm not trying to give medical advice, but if anyone wants to like dive
When you have a
into
virus
something,
and there's nothing else you can do anyways, I mean, that's, and why not?
megadosing vitamin C, and there's articles, there's some vitamin
And it's
D
the powdered
protocols.
vitamin C that you take. That's the most
Efficient way to get it in.
They have airborne. I like the little airborne orange.
You'll spend about 10 times as much money
Yeah.
like buying branded stuff, but
Yeah.
if you just go to GNC, like, because it's like the tiniest amount is 1,000 milligrams, and
What about like 5 gallons of orange juice? Would that be good?
you can do it that way. You're gonna
I
burn a
think-
hole in your stomach doing
But
that.
1,000 grams of sugar too?
But that for me, like I've just been someone. I was in the hospital for like 10 days when I was little. I had rheumatic fever, and after that I got sick a fair amount. And actually CrossFit, getting into CrossFit and fitness in my like early to mid 20s was the first time, and really since I built my body up and my immune system and just like how sturdy I was like a different person. I got sick a lot as a kid until I was probably 24 or 5. And everything kind of changed when I just built myself up and got a little more like physically robust. But I've always been into like how to build yourself up or cure like little illnesses. So check that out. You can literally just Google it and like vitamin C protocol for illnesses. And there's some cool stuff on there, and it's there's really nothing to lose from it. I don't think you can hurt yourself with vitamin C, but yeah, that's something.
And then
that's
I think, just to kind of add in, I think just generally speaking, if you're not feeling well, but you want to do a little bit of something, try to lean more into like cardio instead of like the heavy weights, because you're breaking down muscles, got to rebuild. I mean, a little bit of like kind of physical therapy type stuff isn't too bad, but you don't want to go back squat real heavy, and you might not want to breathe real heavy either, but just doing everything super light, like almost like rehab stuff, and like sitting on the bike, a walk on the treadmill.
That's what I did.
That workout looks great tomorrow, but I just can't even wrap my head around. I know if I push that hard and then we go, I mean, you just have to kind of game the whole day. We're going to noon to our tailgate. It's not going to be good. So just kind of thinking about like the duration of your day too. And if you want to kind of make a go at the day, like how hard does your day look? Offset that with your workout.
Yeah. I think easing back into things too is I can't understate that enough. Like, you're going to feel better. Take a few days to feel the workouts
ramp
out.
it up,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just take and let your ego go. Like, sign into class, but don't put your scores in if that's something you usually do. Just take that out of it. Like today's a good example where we have 5 rounds of 7 deadlifts, 30 air squats, and 7 dumbbell push press or handstand push-ups. Like, I think I'm gonna go in there and walk through the movements, but that is a workout that I've done before at the 275 and the handstand push-ups, and I'm gonna walk through it at probably 135. I might cut the air squats down to 15 and then do light dumbbells for the push press, just to move blood through my body. And that is, again, I'm not doing this for a training stimulus to get stronger. I'm doing it to wake everything up in my body and feel better.
Yeah. And I think, I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and it applies to like working out, anything. I had this old boss, and I love her, still love, I always loved her, Jessica. And this was at Lifetime Fitness, and we always had quarterly goals to hit. So when that would come around and it was like that week or the week before, she'd want me, I was a manager, and she'd be like, Kate, we need to work like 60, 70 hours a week. And I'm like, I will never do that. I am going to work 40 to 45, just like I always do. But I'm going to watch you get the flu like every 3 to 6 months. And so I actually did this calculation just because we had this little banter and we were really close. So we were kind of arguing about it. And I'm like, okay, I actually sat down and over the last 6 months, I calculated all the days you've worked and hours you've worked and the hours I've worked, and I win because I'm slow and steady. Like slow and steady wins the race. So, you know, to that point, like it might not be real inspiring what you do for a workout today, but you show up, you do it, then you can come back tomorrow and you can come back the next day. And instead of really trying to blow it out and doing like, you know, just nothing extreme, I think like slow and steady always wins the race, whether it's with work, working out. And I'm just big on not exhausting yourself in any way, shape, or form. And sometimes that means travel and fun too. Where like, you know, that's a conversation I have with my clients all the time. You can't always be the coolest person in the room and be in shape and be a professional, like whether it's a lawyer, doctor, whatever. You know, that I would love to go to 3 comedy shows and 2 concerts every week, but it's just like I'm not going to do that and stay in shape and have a successful business. So I think kind of moderating all of it is the best kind of balance.
Yeah, and that's how you don't run into this situation where you're getting ill too, where the virus hits you and it kind of bounces off of you, you know, and I think in years past, and that's why I haven't been real sick in the last 10 years too often, is taking care of myself, being healthier and things like that. And then, you know, this year kind of added up and kicked me in the butt. But yeah, we just want to get this out there and tell everyone to wash your hands, stay healthy, wash your equipment off. And if you're sick, you know, wait a few days to get back in the gym and then, you know, really ease back. Don't feel like you have to take CrossFit class right away. Use some open gym time to ease back into things. Or
barbell.
Yep. Lighten the loads on things and take a week to really ease yourself back if you find yourself in that predicament. We'll be taking a week off next week, and then we will be back the following week. See you guys then.